Hello, my name is Raymond Karchevsky, and I am a living Christ. The message I should like to share with you today is the truth of a living Christ. Once again, I find myself explaining to you that which is truth, which requires no explanation. The reason that I do so is the quality of consciousness that is experienced by all who live in their satanically ruled intellects. You see, they are damaged goods, and you are amongst them. They are damaged almost from birth. They lose their God-given gift of directly perceiving the truth through divine awareness by slowly giving it up through the pressures of familial, political, and religious, along with cultural conditioning, which reduces them to little more than reactive robotic entities who have lost their balance. They have fallen and cannot get up. You are all under satanic mind control, and none of you are exempt from it until you face the truth about yourselves. I offend most of you because I challenge the false beliefs that have been drummed into you by those who control you throughout your lives. If you were not split in your consciousness and confused, you would not be offended. You would be able to see the truth for yourselves directly, and no decision would be needed to be made to make up your confused mind. But most of you have missed that little tidbit of truth, haven't you? In your present confusion, you must react in judgment to what you hear. And so your mind, your intellect shows you that it is still your master, and you are still its slave. You believe in fantasies and myths, and you worship them as your gods, while they are nothing more than your own ideas, which have been programmed into you, and which you do not understand. You believe in a superhero myth of a Christ, which has the seed of truth within it, but it is laden with layers and layers of deception, myths, superstitions, and outright lies. This all serves to make you into a narrowly rigid, flesh and blood, blindly believing robot. You are a believer, incapable of dealing holistically with non-dualistic truth. You are forced to react in a satanically ruled intellectual action of judgment, and lash out against anything that does not support your own limited personal fantasies. All of you Christians out there believe in the myth of Christ, but you worship a satanic myth, don't you? A myth that has been conditioned into you. And it is not the simple truth that a Christ, any Christ, is merely a simple man of truth, one who is not tethered by the nonsense of a societally, culturally trained dualistic intellect. For 20 years now, I have shown you the way on how to deal with your enslaving intellect, yet you have fought it tooth and nail. If this answers who you are, most of you must admit to yourselves, at least, that you are just plain ignorant. And some of you are just stupid. That is the way of the world, and you are trapped in it. You cry, "Why me? Why me?" And it begs the question, why not you? No matter what your experiences are, you meet them with the confusion of your split, divided, opposing satanic-ruled intellect. And thus you lash out and create outwardly your inner world of confusion. The real question is it possible for you to not to be living in hell? As a living Christ, I have shown you the powers of truth which is manifested through any living man who is navigating life in a satanically ruled society. I have shown you that no courts, satanic courts at that, no government, satanic governments, religions, satanic religions, for they all have their foundation in thought and ideas and fantasies and superstitions. None of these institutions have any power over you. You, who are the transcendent holistic spirit of truth, which is not affected by the satanic intellect. You may have noticed that throughout these past 20 years, I do not argue with anyone, for that is a sign of intellectual enslavement, of ideas that have been conditioned into you. And they are the property of all who remain trapped in their dualistic intellects. Truth is whole, complete. It is all there is. It stands as is, and as such it mirrors all that is illusion around it. My suggestion is simple to each and every one of you, and one that each of you can adopt as your way of living. Speak only truth. Act only in truth. Tell no lies. Do not engage in deception. And you, the Spirit of Christ, of divine intelligence, will transcend, will resurrect itself from the personal hell that you now live in. Do no harm, and you shall not have any need for man's law, for satanic intellectual law. You see, I have proven this with my own life's experiences. But whom amongst you have paid attention to it? Who amongst you see the energy that cannot be vanquished by illusion, and that all attempts to do so return to the void from whence they come, impotently? However, and whenever you are attacked by satanic, robotic, reactive minions who abound on the internet, who seek relief from their misery by projecting it onto others, by seducing them into conflicting relationships. I suggest that you merely stand fast, stand pat, and you mirror such insanity. In time, even the most recalcitrant intellect will get the message. I have displayed this throughout the past 20 years on the internet. And if you cannot see that, you must admit to yourself you are nothing but a blind, satanically ruled believer. That is what this Christ has brought to the internet, and has brought to the world of indoctrinated ignoramuses who think they are intelligent people. You can see the threat that it has posed. For those who have controlling interests over your mind, I'm speaking of government, religions, bankers, and corporate elitists who treat you as nothing more than human resources, slaves. You see, these fictitious people, fictitious leaders, they're freaking out on various levels of consciousness by manipulating the means of this living Christ's communications on the internet, while they publicly, they will not, they cannot afford to acknowledge the very existence of such a man, such a simple man of truth, living in their midst. Their entire fantasy, fictional world is threatened by such directness and simplicity. You, each of you, shall be damned until you understand the simplicity of living non-dualistically in this dualistic, intellectually created fictional world, which has been drummed into your intellect by seduction, invitation, consent, and contract. Hell, isn't it? It is time to take back your lives. Boycott. Boycott. Boycott the satanically, the intellectually controlling institutions which control you through mind control. Do no harm, but take no crap. That is the sword and the shield of truth that shall protect you and bring you peace on earth. Can you do it? We shall see.